Matt, here's what we're going to do live right now on the show. I want you to pull up Google and I want you to Google.
Oh dear God. They've got green ones here.
This is the best day of my entire life.
Welcome everyone to Washington to Westminster, the US UK comedic political crossover nobody asked for, but everybody needs. My name is Matt Johnston. Now I host a show called The Interesting Times. And the other face you see on your screen is a host of Phoenix News Network, Andrea Bridges-Smith. Andrea, how are you and how is your homeland? And of course, happy Liberation Day.
Oh, why, thank you. Yes, I made sure to put out a Big Mac and Diet Coke for jolly old St. Tariff Claus. There are also limes in my shoes, but that's unrelated.
Okay, yeah, right. So the UK is looking to get hammered on tariffs, obviously. It's going to be either today or tomorrow. So much for the special relationship, right? I mean, Starmer has bent over backwards to accommodate Trump. And if you think that sounds a bit sexual, like, I would have no doubt if he thought it would make a difference, he would pop out of a birthday cake and sing Happy Birthday, Mr. President.
Well, thank you for that mental picture. Now my brain needs a shower. I think this is very interesting, though, because I thought, on previous episodes, we've talked about how Starmer was kind of standing up to Trump. Has that plan sort of fallen by the wayside?
Oh, yes. I mean, he's folded like a twitchy 3-year-old with see-through cards.
Well, that's disappointing. Well, you mentioned Liberation Day. Now, as of the time of this recording, Wednesday morning, we haven't heard exactly what Trump's big tariff announcement is going to be. But since he has gone to the trouble of referring to it as Liberation Day, I can only assume, based on what we've learned from George Orwell, that a dark-skinned person will be sent to El Salvador as part of the announcement. But I'm thinking it could go one of two ways. Option number one, he does what he's done the past few times and backs off at the last minute, but still claims victory somehow, like the weenie that he is. Or number two, he actually follows through this time and crashes the global economy. And isn't it fun not knowing what we're going to get? It's like the world's most suspenseful gender reveal.
Congratulations, Mr. Trump. It's a fuck up.
It always is. Very predictable in that regard. Now, Matt, I know that you guys have your by-elections and we have special elections, and that is to fill vacancies for people who have died or taken other positions or resigned. And there are a couple of them this week that are some interesting data points for kind of how things are going in America right now.
Right. Yeah. So it's going to be very much a temperature gauge of the support or lack of it for El Trumpo.
Exactly. And so few interesting data points here. The first election is in Wisconsin, where they needed to elect a new justice to the state Supreme Court, which doesn't sound exciting at all. And normally it's not. But this is a swing state, so it's actually very important because the Supreme Court in a state can kind of decide whether or not to certify election results. And, that's a big deal.
Yes.
So
and to have them, yeah.
Yes, and to keep having them. That is a nice thing that we would love to do. So this election was so important that Elon Musk showed up and tried to buy people's votes for $1 million. He ended up spending about $25 million on that election. And then there were two elections in Florida, both in areas where Trump won overwhelmingly in November.
Musk is attempting to buy people's votes for $1 million and only bought 25 votes.
Not exactly. So it was kind of a raffle type situation. So it's like if you sign this petition or do what I want you to do, then you'll be entered to win $1 million. So
is that legal?
It is probably not legal. Right. There were definitely some legal challenges that were filed to that. It's certainly not ethical. It's certainly not how things should be done, but that's not stopping him.
Anyway, so all of this is, as I say, is going to give us our indication of people's opinion of Trump, not just the stuff we're seeing in town halls, right?
Yes, although the town halls are not going well. So in Wisconsin, which is a state that Trump very narrowly won in November, the Democratic candidate won by 10 points. So I don't think that they like what he has been up to. And in Florida, the two Republicans won. That wasn't surprising, but they won by about half as much as Trump did just a few short months ago.
Well, that's fantastic news, certainly for the Wisconsin thing. So
Yeah.
here we go. Question, which I appreciate we don't normally ask in democracies, but there's been nothing normal about the US in the last few months. Do you think Trump will accept the findings of this election if it goes well? Obviously, as it has gone against him, and what do you think he'll do? He'll just say something, or say it was rigged or something? I don't know.
Yeah, he's probably going to do his standard, the election was rigged type thing. And it's like, well, your guy was the one dumping $25 million into this election. So I don't know. Usually for smaller elections like this, he doesn't really care as much. It's kind of when he's on the ballot that he really gets upset. But it's interesting that you bring that up because Trump recently said in an interview that he is exploring ways to run for a third term. Now, our Constitution expressly forbids that, of course, but if he did find some loophole, then that would mean that Barack Obama could run for a third term too, and I'm pretty sure he would absolutely wipe the floor with Donald Trump.
Yeah, I'm guessing as well that any loophole Trump can fit through, Barack Obama, I'm sure, can just about squeeze through as well, right?
He's been windsurfing a lot. He is a nimble fella. So what about you, Matt? What's happening over in your neck of the woods?
Okay, well, it seems we are also careering into madness, although it might be said to be at a slower pace. Ours is taking months, yours seems to be taking hours, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Do you remember last week when I was talking about the Labour and Tories resembling each other in so many ways?
Yes, kind of like the twins in The Shining.
Just like the twins in The Shining, if the twins were slightly more psycho looking. So, you may also remember that the Tories having this policy to send asylum seekers coming into the UK to Rwanda, and how I said it, and it indeed was, an insanely stupid, inhuman and expensive idea.
Yes, one of the worst ideas that I've ever heard, and that is saying something given who our current president is.
Right, yeah. So, well, it's looking like Labour are now going to have the same idea. And bearing in mind we are going to have half overseas aid, that means even more desperate people fleeing their countries. Hooray for short-termism. I just want to point out, though, I had a quick look. I can't find, I remember seeing it somewhere. I can't now find the link, but I do remember seeing it, that it's been floated as an idea, shall we say.
I believe it's supposed to be flown if it's going to Rwanda and floated if it's going over the channel, but this is insane. This is like... The whole idea was to change course from what the Tories were doing, right?
Yes.
Like, Starmer's acting like a taller version of Sunak at this point.
Not much taller, it has to be said. I think there's only about an inch or two between them. Anyway, certainly when it comes to the moral stance, there's absolutely nothing between them.
Right.
All right, I've got another question for you. And I don't know how much it's taken off over in the US, but over here it's covering all the news. There's been a show called Adolescence. It's a hit show on Netflix. Have you heard of it or seen it?
No, I was told that I should watch prepubescence first or I wouldn't know what was happening.
Well, okay. In which case, I don't want to give any spoilers. Don't worry, you're not alone. I haven't seen it, and neither has Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Badenoch. But, like any good politician, knowing nothing about something won't stop her from giving you an opinion about it.
Yes, and that reminds me, I need to tell you my theories on quantum physics later. It's riveting stuff.
Oh, yes, please, yes. Look forward to that one. So, tinfoil hat at the ready, right?
Okay.
There was a theory on X, I mean, where else? From one of these right-wing accounts, that the story behind Adolescence was based on the Southport killer, and that they changed his race from black to white, a theory that was shared by Elon Musk, again, who else? And now by Kemi Badenoch herself. The thing is, it's nonsense. The show was already in production when the Southport attacks happened. It is, though, based on, you forgive me, Andrea, on an American, a chap called Rodney Alcala.
It's always back to us, isn't it?
Well, apparently he was called the dating game killer and killed about 8 women in the 70s. So this is where our democracy is. We've got a prime minister cutting foreign aid to buy guns and an opposition leader spreading right-wing conspiracy theories. There is a reason for this racist race, though.
Oh, good. You'd hate for it to be random and senseless.
Well, yeah, quite. So the reason is one Nigel Farage. Thank God there is only one, who is doing all right in the polls. But because he's doing just all right, I mean, averaging about 23%, both Labour and the Tories don't have a single policy between them. They're both panicking. And, as I think the phrase is, are both trying to out-Farage the Farage.
God, that sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah. I once did a Farage. Let me tell you, not pleasant. I just apologised and opened a window.
Well, that'll teach you to ease up on the beans. Now, Matt, before we go, I wanted to give you a bit of lighter news because, you know, democracy collapsing, global economy collapsing, it's all a little bit depressing. Yeah. I thought you could use some fun stuff, okay? How does that sound?
Go for it.
All right, so the first story comes from right here in Texas, where State Senator Angela Paxton has introduced a bill that would... Okay, you are British, and I know you guys like euphemism, so let me see what I can do here. So this bill would require online purveyors of stimulating devices to get proof that the purchaser is over the age of 18 before bringing the sale to completion. Or in American parlance, she wants you to have to show your driver's license every time you buy a dildo.
Right. Well, a couple of things there. I'm rather ashamed I didn't jump in at the time, but you said, when you said, I know you guys love a euphemism, thank you for giving me one. Also, when you said that the bill will require online purveyors, I thought you were going to say perverts. Purveying perverts.
The perverts are on the other end of the purveyor transaction.
So anyway, yeah, so you've got to show a driving license to buy a dildo because it's not something trivial, is it? Like buying a gun.
Right. Yeah, no, those you can have as many as you want, but if you want to stimulate your sensitive regions, then we're going to need to see some ID.
Yeah. Before you enjoy yourself, we're going to see that you're okay to enjoy yourself.
Right, exactly. We can't have young teenagers enjoying themselves.
Yeah. Because there's that drink responsibly thing, isn't there?
Yeah.
You know, that message, drink responsibly. Is it? What would be the message here? You know, masturbate responsibly.
Spank responsibly? I don't know. Now, what's really fun about this is that Angela Paxton is married to one of the most evil people on the planet, Ken Paxton, who is the Attorney General of Texas. This is a guy that wakes up every morning and tries his hardest to make sure that pregnant women die in childbirth. But he is also a man who almost got impeached because he cheated on his wife and got his buddy to hire his mistress in exchange for political favors. Also, Ken Paxton is not exactly a 20-pound bag of sexual allure. So as far as I can tell, the only reason to propose this bill is because Angela Paxton has a really good driver's license picture and she wants to show it off.
Yeah, I see where you're going. Yeah, so she'd be like, honestly, honey, you completely satisfy me sexually. I'm just thinking of those other women. Honest. Did I say honest? I meant honestly.
Yes, I'm not sure how Ken Paxton got the opportunity to disappoint two women, but good on him. Now, over in Idaho, this is an interesting story, and I'm hoping that you don't know about this and that I get to be the person to enlighten you, because that would really make my day. Now, Idaho is a very red state. They are, just as red as Texas, if not more. Like, militias love Idaho. It's a very red state. But they have done something extremely sensible that I 100% agree with. They have banned truck nuts. Do you know what truck nuts are? Do you have those in the UK? Over there, I guess they would be called lorry nuts.
Okay, well, full disclosure, you did WhatsApp me about them. And I said I thought they were what you secure your wheels with. And then you went very quiet. I'm starting to realise the way that this conversation is going, and something tells me that that's not the case at all. And you're about to tell me, obviously you're about to tell me what they are. I think I've got an inkling now of an idea, but I'm not sure how it. Anyway, I'll hand over to you for the explanation.
Okay, so truck nuts are plastic testicles that you put on the back of your truck and they dangle underneath the back end of your truck. And they're very veiny. There's lots of like veins. I'm delighted that you did not look this up after I WhatsApped you about this.
Yeah,
I was
so am
really
I,
hoping that you
actually.
wouldn't.
So am I.
I wanted to be the one to tell you. Now, you're probably wondering why.
Yes, yes. That was exactly my question. My only question at that point.
Yes, it is the only question anyone can ask after seeing it. So the ostensible purpose of one's truck nuts is to indicate that the driver of the truck is well endowed in the pantaloons department, if we can keep going with the euphemisms. However, what it actually conveys is that the driver of the truck is wildly overcompensating for a large deficiency in the
Yeah.
pantaloons department. So
Yeah.
that is what truck nuts are. I'm very pleased that they've been banned in Idaho. We should do that everywhere.
That's. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm just going to ask because we're in the Rubicon now, right? But there's. They're plastic, so they're like solid plastic. But the idea being that they swing like that when you're driving along.
Yes. Matt, here's what we're going to do live right now on the show. I want you to pull up Google and I want you to Google pictures of truck nuts because I just want to see your reaction when you.
I genuinely okay.
I'm about to fuck up your search history so bad. Like, there's no telling what kind of advertisements you're about to get for the next week, but let's do it.
This is without a VPN as well, but here we go. Truck nuts. Oh dear God. They've got green ones here.
This is the best day of my entire life.
The thing is, they don't fit in any sort of purpose. It's just kind of like you'd have to, okay, there's one here that is huge. I have to, again, that is overcompensated, but at least you're kind of aware of what they are. Some of them, you're just sitting there, what is that? It might be some sort of, where you might put a trailer or something, but
They are generally oversized.
yeah.
I will say that. But yeah, they are quite something. Wouldn't you agree?
There's some chap sitting down posing with them as well. Why would you? Why would you? Yes, good idea. So when you say they're banned here, that means they're not banned anywhere else?
Yes, they're only banned in Idaho for right now. I don't even know why they bothered to do that. I guess they don't have more important things to do, like address the pregnant women that are dying in childbirth over there. But yes,
Yeah.
the state legislature, in their infinite wisdom, decided to take on this very, very important issue. And for once, I say they did the right thing. This is something that should happen everywhere. So, if we need to start a movement about anything,
Yes.
we could do something about, like the economy or civil liberties or, deporting migrants to countries like Rwanda or, things like that. But really, I think before we do any of that, we got to get this truck nut situation figured out.
Before I go any further, I mean, I've not heard of them, but out there in in internet land and stuff, in the YouTube land, please let me know if you're in the UK and you've heard of them. You're like, oh my God, yes, they're absolutely everywhere. I've not heard of them. I've not seen them. I haven't been looking.
So in Texas, we have a lot of people who drive trucks. So you do occasionally encounter these in the wild. That is something that has happened to me driving around town.
That's where you want them, in the wild. You don't want them, you don't want them anywhere else, do you? Honestly.
Yes, ideally in the middle of the savannah, being gnawed on by a lion or something as a chew toy. Well, I think that's an excellent place to wrap up this week's episode. Because, as you can see, civilization is collapsing and we have a lot to get to. But we will definitely be back for more next week. In the meantime, please head on over to Matt's channel, The Interesting Times, to keep tabs on what Starmer and Farage and the whole gang are up to. And the Phoenix News crew will be back on Friday to recap this insanely crazy week. So hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss a thing. See you next week.
Bye-bye.